Hello, I wanted to show you, I'm always trying different things and I love Nova color acrylics. In fact, I'm working with them now to select a bundle, a Suzanne Allard bundle, which is fun. I wanted to compare them to Sennelier. I have some pastels from Sennelier, and I've just always felt like that's a really good product. And so I was excited to try these, but I'm disappointed. I'm actually going to return them. So I'll show you just what I was painting. So what's different about them is they come in this pouch. And so they claim, and I think it's true, that you don't waste as much paint, although in these you don't either. So there's pluses and minuses, I guess, to the containers, but you unscrew this, whoops, okay, maybe it dried on there. I know, and then you put a little bit of the paint on your palette or whatever. So I kind of like that, but it really comes down to the paint for me, not the container. I mean, if the paint, all things being equal, a better container is obviously better, but I was disappointed in the paint. So what I did is I took just some of the colors that I bought, and then I compared the same colors in the Nova to the Sennelier. And I like, it's personal preference, but in my paint, I want opacity. I want a good pigment load. I don't want watery paints that then I have to do more and more coats. And so that's why I love acrylic gouache when I want that look, but I also want to have an acrylic because acrylic gouache, if you're using any quantity of it, can get pricey. So this Sennelier, which I painted right here, these are the Sennelier colors, and then these are the Nova colors of the same thing. And you can just see the difference. This has more pigment. The yellow is stronger, the red. Then on the turquoise, the color I like better of the Sennelier than the Nova color turquoise. I always just add some yellow to this and I get it to that. But the pigment is not there, and you can really see it in the blue, the difference. So I also tried this metallic gold in the Sennelier right here, because I'm crazy about gold, and it's just, you'd have to do multiple coats so yeah, it just kind of reiterated my, my love of the Nova colors. So what I thought, I am gonna, just thought I'd show you these since I tried them, and but yeah, I'm gonna send those back. They're just not, they're not what I was hoping for. What I thought I'd do now though is, these are the colors. I'm choosing 15 colors, and I thought I'd play with the colors a little bit. I've got a couple more coming because I want to make sure that I want to try one more yellow and another blue. I'm not probably going to put an orange in the bundle because orange is so easy to make, but I've got an orange coming just in case. Another orange they had that I haven't tried, but I'll show you what I'm thinking of so far for my bundle. So I'm going to get a big piece of watercolor paper, and we will make some color splotches. This is just a large-ish piece of watercolor paper that I just watercolor paper. I gesso it just because it keeps the paint from just soaking into the paper, and it helps. It just creates a nice effect, and it keeps the paint on on the surface of the paper, if that makes any sense. All right, so I think I'm just going to put colors down. Grab one of my not fine, not super special brushes, because I'm going to do this kind of in a scrubby way. And who knows, maybe it'll end up being a painting. So in case it is, I'm going to start them the way I've been starting these gardens. And this is Payne's Gray, which is my favorite dark. You can either make a Payne's Gray with black and blue, or you can get a Payne's Gray and then add more blue if you want it to be. But it's a dark bluish, grayish color. And every Payne's Gray that you get from every paint manufacturer seems like it's different. Some lean more black, some lean more blue. This brush has had better days. Look, it's twisting around. It was not expensive, but I really like this Payne's Gray from Nova. Just even straight out of the jar, I think it would make a nice background, but I always like to add something to a color to make sure that it is my own. In this case, I'm going to layer so much that it probably won't matter that I'm not adding anything to this. So this Payne's Gray will definitely be in the bundle. And I asked Nova, I said, well, are you going to discount the bundle for students or offer free shipping or anything? And they said, not at this point, but we're looking at that. And I said, please do. I want you all to get something, discount or free shipping or something. So I hope they do that. Okay, I'm just throwing in some dark, but isn't that a pretty color? Kind of obsessed with it. Okay. Now I'm going to clean my brush. I have in here just some gesso in a jar. I'm just going to use that as my white. And I have a piece of palette paper right here. Paper towel. Let's see. I'm going to put some of this white on my palette. White is what I go through most. You can tell I've been double dipping, so there's a little bit of color in there. Don't care about that. Let's see. Let's try maybe some of this blue-green with some. This is going to be in the bundle for sure. It's gorgeous. And I'm going to add some white to it. It's really more of a turquoise than what they call the turquoise. So I may include this one in the bundle and then not the turquoise. I still have to decide that. What I'm doing to pick the bundle is figuring out how few colors we can get that make it easy to get the colors that we want. So I'm just taking this, just kind of scrubbing it in different places, really being random at this point. Probably all I'll be able to do with you today on this is kind of get this first layer down. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to this. Got a cadmium yellow deep. That's probably going to be in the bundle because I want to have a warm yellow and a cool yellow. But there's one more yellow that I'm testing out. And you can just see how the colors mix, which is fine with me at this point. This is where I will often, depending on what color I'm moving to, not wash my brush. Just if I have too much of something in it, I might wipe it with a paper towel, but I want some continuity of color. So let's go with a little more CAD and get some real yellow in here. There's some white down here. All right, and then the two reds, well, I guess I have three, but the couple that I really like are this cadmium red light. And I think one of the things I love about the Nova paints is the way that they blend with each other. You can, of course, make an ugly color or a muddy color, but somehow they just seem to create mostly really pretty colors. So that's some cad red, and you can just see how the Napsal Crimson, which is another red I'm going to include, has some pinkish tones. I'll show you. So it looks pretty similar in the jar, but as soon as you grab, you see that, how it's a cooler red? And you can go in the coral and pink and just literally adding white to that color is pretty magical. I find when I'm using this color and start putting it in the painting and then a little more of it in the painting, I'm like, okay, Suzanne, that's enough of that color, because I get obsessed with it. And I can make all sorts of pretty pinks. Okay, still have not washed my brush since I did the, I washed out the Payne's Gray. Well, that was a different brush, but so far all of these colors are on one brush. And maybe I'll show you the quinacridone red next. This can be, it's really like a magenta. Very intense. Add a little bit of white to that. And with more on the purple side. Speaking of purple, we can do a bit of, I've got 3 different blues right now that I'm looking at that I've narrowed it down to. This is the phthalo blue deep red, green shade. But I've ordered the other one just to see just make sure. I want to make sure that I'm putting together the best bundle for, so you don't need to have 30 different colors like I seem to have acquired, which is not necessary, right? Because you can make colors. I mean, right now what's making this color and what I love about this process is I have in my brush a little bit of that orangey color, definitely some yellow, there's even a tiny bit of turquoise in there. You can see it all loaded in there, and it's what's making this kind of warmish purple, because if I didn't have any yellows in there, this purple would not be warm. I guess I'll call that loaded brush color mixing. Color discovery with a loaded brush, something like that. Okay, that's enough purple. The phthalo blue has got to be the most intense. I mean, I've had this well over a year, and you can see how tiny bit I use. Let's switch to a cobalt blue. And I am going to wipe my brush, otherwise I'll keep going in the purple direction, but I'm not going to wash it out. I'll just kind of take a lot of the paint out of it. Alright, so cobalt blue, and then we're going to get some white. Cobalt blue makes me happy. It reminds me of lapis lazuli, the stone. I grew up partly in, I grew up pretty much the whole time in South America. And in Chile, the lapis lazuli is mined and, pretty easy to come by. And I still have these rocks of lapis lazuli from there, and this is what this color makes me think of. Yeah, it's pretty. And then cerulean blue, I'm also going to include, because even though they look the same when you look at the container, it definitely goes in a more turquoisey direction. And just a more, it's pretty intense, but it's a warmer blue. So when I want, that real pop, let's mix it with something, maybe with a little yellow. And we're getting back to a turquoise. Somehow I always find my way back to turquoise. But when you mix this way, it'll be a different turquoise, and something that you could never actually create exactly the same way ever again. And that's what I love about color, or doing it this way, because I could never put the exact amounts of whatever I had on my brush, at that time. Definitely need some more lighter values in this, but this is just for fun. It'll be the background of something, and shows you the colors. Okay, let's look at, I've got another couple yellows of this fluorescent magenta, two fluorescents, fluorescent pink and fluorescent magenta that I'm looking at. And the yellow green I haven't showed you. I think everything else I have shown you. Yeah, did I say showed? Shown. Need to get in here with some lighter colors, so let's get some of this yellow green. This, like out of the jar, is whoops, not what I want, but I'm of course going to mix it. And it's a really nice color with some yellow. But here's a nice, I've got this sort of a little bit of this blue and white on my, still on my brush, so we'll do this just to kind of calm some of this down. Mix it in with the blue. And if I want to go a real limey direction, this is one of my favorite colors for, take some of that and add the warmer yellow. You get the idea, it's just fun to mix this way. That's yellow green. And what haven't I shown you? Oh, the fluorescent, yeah. So for that I am going to fluorescent, you know, by itself is not usually, I mean, maybe for an accent, but I want other colors on my brush because I want to tone it down. So I already have, that's why I didn't wash my brush. I've got all kinds of bits in my brush, so that will keep this from being too much. Little pops of it are nice. And it will probably need to, sometimes I do bits of fluorescent underneath something and then end up covering it up. Most of it, I just want bits of it to show. It's a little bit of surprise stuff. And I often mix it with other colors to increase the intensity of that color. See, I like that color that just got made. Kind of a really bright light pink. Some of this isn't dry. Okay, so, oh, the fluorescent magenta. Let me show you that. Add some white to it and some other stuff. Isn't it yummy? Let's do a bit more over here. All right, well, I think I showed you them all. Like I said, I'm evaluating a couple more and deciding what makes the most sense to have in this bundle. The right colors without colors you don't really need, and especially colors that are pretty much impossible to mix, like fluorescent magenta. So keep an eye out. I hope to get this bundle put together in the next few weeks, and I will put something out on my email list when it's done. But yeah, I'm excited. I think I've got pretty close to the colors I want here. I'll have to decide if I don't think we need both this turquoise, which isn't as turquoisey as the one that's called blue-green. So I think I might take this one out so that I can add something else in that is more unique. All right, stay tuned. Thanks for joining me.